What's up, everyone? We're gonna try this for the first time. I'd like to thank Miss Dorn for showing me how to use this, or at least trying. It's called Screencastify. Going forward, what it's gonna hopefully help me be able to do is to talk over the notes. You can see my mouse, my little pointer here. Okay, where I'll be able to actually explain and highlight a couple of things that we're going over to maybe make things a little bit easier. It'll be cut and pasted into my YouTube channel, but I'll post that link in the classrooms. So all you really have to do, click on the link, watch the video, watch me talk, listen to me talk, going over the notes specifically for that day or anything that we're reviewing, hopefully make it easy for you guys. First and foremost, thank you for all the hard work you guys are putting in. I posted that video in your classrooms yesterday. So again, I'm incredibly thankful for everything you guys have done. I hope you're all safe and healthy. We're going to do chapter 25, all right, section 4, part 2 today, specifically the last two slides of notes, which I'll get to in a second. Tomorrow, I'll probably post a review for you guys with a test on Thursday and a catch-up day on Friday, and that should really bring us done with the Cold War and let us get into Vietnam sometime next week. All right, so the first two slides that we have here, I'm not really going to spend too much time on because I want to get right here. All right, I want to get to Latin America and the Cold War, specifically Cuba, and how in the late 50s and early 1960s, Cuba became kind of the hotspot for the Cold War. And we did Korea first. Now we're going to do Cuba, and we'll do Vietnam next week. All right. Before we do that, we got to talk about Cuba itself. All right. Here's the United States up here. Here's Cuba. To be a little bit more close, here's Cuba. There's Florida. All right. It is about 90 miles, I believe, south of Florida. Okay. In 1959, a gentleman by the name of Fidel Castro takes power. All right. He is a communist leader, and he overthrows the government in Cuba. It's the Cuban Revolution. Okay. And when he takes power, the Soviet Union, a communist nation, promises to aid and help Cuba once Castro comes to power. Shortly after that, the fear and the threat is that other Latin American nations would follow. All right, so the United States has a major problem here with Castro in 59-60. President Eisenhower, who's still president at the time, is going to come up with a plan known as the Bay of Pigs. All right, this is a water location in the island of Cuba, I believe right around there, actually. All right, where the CIA is going to train Cuban nationalists to assassinate Fidel Castro. All right, the CIA is going to lead it. They're going to train. They're going to have the Cubans try to assassinate Fidel Castro. Okay, Eisenhower leaves. Kennedy comes in. He's told about the plan. Kennedy gives the okay, and it is a massive failure. The Cuban nationalists are pinned down on the beaches, many of them captured, many of them executed, many of them put into prison. And it's a massive embarrassment for the United States because it looks like this big, bad country is picking on this tiny little island. Okay, so a couple of years goes by, and Cuba comes into the picture again, specifically the Cuban Missile Crisis. If we were in class, I'd be spending a day or two on this. All right, it is the closest, in my opinion, that the world had ever come to World War III. And the scariest thing about it is this would have been a nuclear World War III. All right, we know China had the bomb, England, France, the Soviet Union, the United States. It wasn't just us anymore that had the bomb. And that brings us to what this was all about. 1962, President Kennedy, president from 61 to 63, we'll get more into him later, all right, is given pictures taken by a U.S. spy plane that showed that the Soviet Union was putting missiles on Cuba. These missiles were atomic missiles, nuclear missiles of range that could attack almost every location in the United States. Obviously, President Kennedy could not allow this to happen. Okay? And he ordered that the missiles be removed and ordered a blockade around the island of Cuba. And I'll get to that in 1 second also. For 13 days, the Soviet Union and the United States worked back and forth. Nikita Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviets, President Kennedy, the leader of the Americans, right, the president, going back and forth in conversations on how they could possibly come to a solution to get the missiles out of Cuba, but neither side has to lose. Okay? And what they do is in October, they come up with a deal where the Soviet Union and Nikita Khrushchev agree no more ships to Cuba, no more missiles, All the missiles will be removed, and the United States will make a deal never to invade Cuba again. We also, later on, will agree to take our nuclear missiles out of the country of Turkey, which was really located on the border of the Soviet Union. So, because of this, the Cuban Missile Crisis, there's no shots fired, there's no bombs dropped, neither side wins or loses, but the world avoids World War III. To show you some of those spy pictures, here they are. All right. You see a couple of bombs here. You'll see tents. Again, this is in the jungles of Cuba. This is in the middle of nowhere. All right. This is a missile erector set, meaning this is where missiles could be made. Here are some transport tanks, oxidizers. None of this stuff made sense. All right. On why this would be here. All right. This was a small island. All right. That is now being funded by the Soviet Union, are now having missiles placed on the island of Cuba. There are more. Now, Cuba doesn't know we have these pictures. The Soviet Union doesn't know we have these pictures. Right? Kennedy kept it a secret. To give you an example of how far those missiles could reach, here's Cuba. Okay? Here's New York. Here's Washington, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami. Theoretically, those missiles would give the Soviet Union a way to attack major cities in the United States. Obviously, it can't happen. Okay, this is a famous photo. All right, I like to consider this photo one of the closest the world has ever come to World War III. All right, here's a Soviet ship with missiles on it headed for Cuba. Here's an American plane flying over it. That's an American ship. Okay, the American ship was given the order: if that ship runs the blockade and passes, you could fire at it. All right, this is probably a distance of 50 to 100 feet here. This is not long. Okay, maybe a little longer. All right, that's about as close as the world came, possibly to a World War III. This is a famous picture, all right, of the United States President John Kennedy talking with Nikita Khrushchev, okay, trying to figure out who's telling the truth. Right, Kennedy has the pictures already. He knows the missiles have already been put there. He wants to see how Khrushchev will answer. Okay, thankfully, all right, and here's Fidel Castro. Here's Khrushchev. This is the alliance between Cuba and the Soviet Union. All right. Here is President Kennedy going on national television. You can see all the TV cameras here. Okay, October 62. Here's all the cameras. Telling the United States that the Soviet Union has put missiles on Cuba and the United States would not allow that to happen. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed because what President Kennedy did, and it's one of his political strokes of genius, is he brought this to the United Nations. Okay, and here's the United Nations ambassador showing the pictures to the entire United Nations. Complete surprise. Okay, the Soviet Union didn't know about this. I believe this was their seat over here. Okay, nobody knew we had the pictures. All right, the Soviet Union had denied it. Cuba had denied it. Castro had denied it. Khrushchev had denied it. Kennedy exposed it to the entire world at the United Nations, which was an absolute brilliant move on his part. So because of that, we were able to avoid World War III. The Cold War is going to go on for another 27 years. All right, we'll get into Vietnam next week and how it ends at the end of the year. But one of the major parts that almost brought the world to war was avoided because these two men were able to work out an agreement where both sides seemed like they won. The world avoided war, which was important. Okay, to kind of go over more here, and you'll see on my screen here in a second. All right, I'm going to post this up with your homework. All right, you can submit this in. This is the section 4. All right, talks about the arms race, superpowers, and specifically, all right, the Cuban Missile Crisis right here, which is going to be definitely on your test. I can pretty much promise you that. All right, so if you haven't already, you saw my videos from the other day. All right, down here you see I posted a couple of videos for you. I do have a YouTube channel, all right, that I will post this assignment to and put it in your classroom. So going forward, all right, guys, again, continue to submit the work as on time as you can. I know you guys have a lot going on, a lot of classes, so get me the work as soon as you can do it. I'm putting it in Power School. I already started putting fourth quarter grades in. So again, I'm going to try doing this going forward. I'll post the link in the classroom so that you can see exactly what we're covering, what we're talking about, everything that we're going over, so that you can hear me explain it, so that maybe it becomes a little bit easier. All right. I will also post the notes on their own. Okay, so you can read it without my voice. But if you need an explanation, it will be there. I want you all to stay safe, stay healthy. Again, chapter 25, section 4, part 2, Cuban Missile Crisis today. I'll probably put up a review sheet to you guys tomorrow, and you'll definitely have a chapter test on the Cold War on Thursday. All right, be safe, be healthy, and I will talk to you all very soon.